So, hello everybody, welcome to this webinar. Thank you for being with us today. I'm Ștefan Bâlici, I'm the Director General of the National Institute of Heritage in Romania. And I must say, of course, that we are very keen on the new upcoming Wiki Loves Monuments, this year's season. And we are very happy to be together with you today, together with speakers with experience in photography and commons. And we are going to take the opportunity to discuss about producing good images to document cultural heritage, to document historic buildings, and to make them accessible using the latest technologies, using the social media, using the power of the commons. For us as a public institution, it's very important to be able to bring together as many people to determine them to get involved with cultural heritage. And of course, photography is a very good means of convincing people to get involved. I will probably return to this idea a bit later during my intervention. So for now, I will stop and just tell you that for us, it's a very important opportunity to be able to discuss with you today, and then to be able to be involved in Wiki Loves Monuments 2020 in Romania, and thus to be able to promote cultural heritage better. So thank you all for being here, and I will pass the microphone to Krishna and ask him to introduce us to the world of Wiki Loves Monuments.
Hi, thank you, Stefan. A little bit about myself. I'm Krishna. I'm based in India. I've been with Wikimedia Movement for about 6 years. And I currently serve on the Wiki Loves Monuments International team, mainly supporting countries while they're setting up their contests. I'll be talking about how it is organized later. So I generally support countries when they're getting to start organizing every year in their country, in their respective countries, and then do evaluation of the contest after it's over in terms of statistics. So before I begin about Wiki Loves Monuments, I would like to, since assuming that there would be people from general public as well from the Facebook event, so talk a little bit about Wikimedia Commons as well. Where are you uploading these pictures on? What is the platform? So I will share my screen. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. We can see it. Yeah.
Okay. So all of you must be aware of Wikipedia, which is an encyclopedia. So when you see an image on a Wikipedia article, for example, when you see an image on a Wikipedia article, so all these images are not hosted on the site itself. So they are hosted on a sister project of Wikipedia, which is called Wikimedia Commons. So this is a collection of all the media files which are used on Wikipedia and their sister projects. So it hosts images, videos, audio files, and any other type of media that you can imagine. So all the files.
That's my picture, by the way.
Oh, okay. It's featured on the main page. And all the files are licensed under Creative Commons licenses, which are the copyleft license. So you can use the licenses, you can use the images at free of cost, but provided you need to attribute the author if the license says so. And you can share, redistribute the images as without any charge, but with attribution. So that's a little bit about Wikimedia Commons. So it is arguably the largest repository of free pictures, which has almost 60 million free images in the current statistics. So the Wiki Loves Monuments contest. Okay, so Wiki Loves Monuments. The contest started in the first iteration happened in 2010 in Netherlands. Then the organizers, Lodewijk was one of the founders. So he thought that this is catching, it is a good idea, and they further expanded it into Europe in 2011, and from there on it has been happening every year. Without for almost 10 years. This year we were supposed to celebrate the 10th year with many events, but due to the pandemic, we're thinking we'll do it next year. So there is a fundamental, so there are two major contests which happen related to photography in this area. One is Wiki Loves Monuments and Wiki Loves Earth. I just would like to differentiate both of them. So Wiki Loves Monuments is focused on cultural heritage, and Wiki Loves Earth is focused on natural heritage. It's not, sometimes it's not a very clear distinction, but there is some distinction. So the cultural heritage is, so the first natural heritage is something which has come, we can say by default with the earth, like caves, rivers, which are not man-made. And cultural heritage is more of which have been passed down by civilizations, which have been built by civilizations as a representation of their art, culture, and it's mostly built form by the human beings. Sometimes there is a debate, for example, some monuments, we were talking yesterday about this controversy in Australia, whether tribal structures have to be considered as cultural or natural. So it is not always clear, and it depends upon countries how they decide to go about it. So the organization of Wiki Loves Monuments, so it happens every year from 1st September to 30th September. It happens the same in every country. Some countries have a day or two prior or later, according to their convenience. And it happens in a federated model. So the international team doesn't run the contest. We do facilitate the international structure and the technical infrastructure, mainly the upload wizards and the jury tool, the infrastructure and getting the central notice banners up and all the stuff that is required for national organizers to run their competitions. But the design of the national competitions, how are they going to organize? How are what is the list of monuments that is being used to how you what are the prizes, how are you getting the funding, is all up to the national organizers. So in Romania, for example, Elena is one of the organizers. So they design the contest, they form their teams, they interact with those the participants of their country, and basically they do it completely. And so what happens, how does the jury of the photographs take place is that as I've said, so the national contest, each national contest has their own jury, which is generally referred as the national jury. And so the images that are received, so let's take the Romania. So Romania had received, say, 10,000 images. So these 10,000 images are judged by the national jury. And again, national jury is formed, curated by the national organizers. The international team doesn't intervene. We do provide support. For example, sometimes if the country doesn't have enough jurors, to bring in other people to make sure that the jury process takes place. But it is mostly formed by the national organizers itself. So they select top 10, 20, 25 according to their criteria. And the top 10 from each country are forwarded to the international pool of images, international pool of jury. So if there are 40 countries participating, each country contributes 10 images, so which are the winners of their national contest. And these 40 into 100, say 400 pictures are considered for the international jury. And the international jury is formed by the international team. So we have like a mix of photography experts, cultural experts, experts on Wikimedia Commons, all sorts of, like, we also look at diversity from different parts of the world. And they generally it's around 10. We don't try to keep it less than 10 because we need at least 10 to have diversity. And so they judge these 400 photographs, for example, and from there, the top 10, 15 are announced. So Diego will talk more about how the criteria jury takes considers while judging a photo. That's briefly about how the process happens. It is generally, I just would to go back to saying I've said it is generally 1st September to 30th September. But this time, due to the pandemic, we have extended the timeline from 1st September to 30th November. So the national organizers can choose any 30 days because we want to limit it to 30 days because that would be fair for all, for the participants of all the countries. So they have 30 days of time to upload their pictures. But the national organizers can choose between, they can do from 15th September to 15th October or 1st November to 30th November. So any 30 days in this 3 months timeline, because to allow countries, because some countries have recovered from the pandemic, or not completely, not completely to an extent, and some countries it's still peaking. So to allow that space, we have extended this timeline, which means that the jury is also going to get delayed. So generally, we if the contest ends on 30th September, we finalize the international jury by the end of October, and the results are announced for Christmas or New Year. But this time it will go into March. So if you can the international results, you can expect somewhere in March, because we are expecting if the last contest ends by 30th November, we need to give national organizers at least 1 month to judge their photographs, and then we get them by January, and so you can expect results by March, the finalized results. I think that's briefly about it. We don't this edition. We were planning to do the 10th year with all grand celebrations, but they're not going to happen. Also, so little bit about the contest. So this is the largest photography contest. So it has been awarded a Guinness World Record in 2013, if I'm not wrong, somewhere between 2013 and 14. And as of 2019, we have received 1.7 million files through the contest. And in 2019, it was about 300,000. So somewhere around 2 million files have been uploaded through this to Wiki Loves Monuments. And there have been 60,000 participants in total. We don't know how many of them are unique, but there might be repeat participants as well. But that's the total figure for over 10 years. Yeah, I think that's briefly about it. And I'll take more questions towards the end about the process or the contest. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna. I think we will keep the questions for the end, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And we will move on to Diego, or whatever everybody else prefers, whichever you prefer. If you wish, we can take the questions now. Otherwise, we just move to Diego and leave the discussion to the end. Is that okay for everybody? Okay, Diego, then I will ask you to take over.
Okay.
And give us the view of the photographer who has been involved in this for a long time.
Okay, so hello everybody, my name is Diego. I come from Spain. I've been taking pictures for like 20 years, and I am a commoner or a Wikipedian for 10 years. I have a lot of quality stuff, a lot of awarded pictures on Wikimedia Commons. I will show you some of them. And I'm also a so-called administrator in Wikimedia Commons and in the Spanish Wikipedia. So we have special powers to block people or delete contents. This kind of fun. So I will. So the first, I got some questions from Irina, so I will follow them. The first thing she asked me was, what does Wiki Loves Monuments mean for a photographer? And I thought about this, and I think this is first a good excuse to go out and take picture of architecture and of monuments. That's something you don't always do. I mean, this is an excuse to do it at least once a year. So this is something that maybe you don't come to the idea to do if you don't think of this explicitly. So actually, for me, it's like this. When I go to a new place, when I travel, I like traveling a lot. So when I go to a place I don't know much about, then what I always do, and I will show you now an example, I will start sharing. So I share my desktop. So you see now this is a table of monuments in a city in Spain called Badajoz, where I was 2 weeks ago. And I realized that they don't have any pictures of this monument and of this monument. So you see that there is a camera asking you to upload a new picture. They have nothing. So these kind of things, I mean, so going there and I mean, I feel like I can really help the project filling these gaps. So so it's an excuse. Actually, I like taking pictures of architecture of buildings. Then you have here possibility to fill some gaps. Sometimes the gap is not so obvious. Let's say, for example, here that this is a cathedral. We have a picture of the cathedral outside. Sometimes we don't have any pictures of the cathedral inside. I mean, a cathedral is quite popular, so I don't think that's the case here. But for some churches, we have a lot of pictures outside, but none inside. Sometimes you even have to talk to somebody who opens the door to get inside. But that's worth it if we have no documentation of it. And the third reason why I participate in Wiki Loves Monuments is mostly because, as Krishna mentioned, it is the biggest photography contest in the world. So and that's a kind of motivation. If you make it to the final or even to the international final, then I think that's quite that's pretty much an achievement to do so. So because the numbers of participants and pictures, that's huge. So that's an additional motivation for at least for me to participate. So that was the first question from Irina. She also wanted to know, how would a toolkit look like for taking pictures of monuments? So as said, I mentioned it, most important thing is that you first, I mean, I like planning. So first thing I do is looking for some nice subjects or for monuments we have no pictures from. But before I do that, it's important to realize that you cannot upload everything you like on Wikimedia Commons. This strange term here, freedom of panorama, says that.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Hey, do you remember what Louis said on the phone when she said that even though she didn't really.
Îl rog pe domnul Ciobanu este să închidă microfonul. Irina, tu poți să închizi microfonul, că tu ești hostul. Te rog. Okay, we are fine.
Okay,
Sorry about it, so we can go on.
I thought it was a question. Okay, freedom of panorama means there are countries that believe that everybody can take a picture of any building on the street. So the street is a public place. You can take a picture of it. This is what happens, for example, in UK. What happens in Germany, in Spain. This does not apply for countries like France or Italy. So the buildings, they have some restrictions, and you cannot just take a picture of a, let's say, modern monument, upload it to Wikimedia Commons and put it with a free license, because you don't have the right to do so, as the right to do so is only does only belong to the architect of the monument. So that's important for those traveling. Different laws and different. So the situation here is, as you see in this map, is very heterogeneous. So some countries allow it, some countries don't. So if you take a picture of an old castle, that's never a problem. But pictures of new monuments, that could be an issue in some countries here, like France, Italy, or the Balkans, or some old Soviet republics, which have no freedom of panorama. So that was important. Okay, so very important is the lighting. So when you, so if you want to make a picture a bit special, then don't take a picture of the monument, let's say at 10 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You should look for the time where the light is a bit special. That's usually, just before sunset, or that's called the golden hour, or after sunset, that's called the blue hour. I will show you later some examples of this. So that's something that will add a lot to the picture. Also, very useful. I don't know whether some people don't come to this idea, or why don't they do it. Very often you cannot use a tripod. I always have a tripod with me and my backpack, but there are places, especially in churches, where you cannot use it. What I do here, if you look up and wonder a very nice ceiling, what you can do is put your camera on the floor and maybe program the picture like in 5 seconds. You go 2 steps far from the camera and make sure that nobody steps on the camera, and let the camera take a picture. I can show you how it looks like. This was what I did here. And of course, the floor is very stable. So this is even better than any tripod. So the image has detail. And well, in this case, it's not only 1 picture, it's 3 pictures. That's an issue in churches. Churches, they have, the problem here is you have a lot of light getting from outside. So this area here on the right is very, very bright. And some areas, maybe here, this area, or here, this area, they are very dark. So they are in shadow. So what I do is I take 3 or 5 pictures. Today, some cameras, they can directly take an HDR picture. They take a couple of pictures and mix them up into 1 picture, and that's an HDR. So for this kind of photography for interiors where you have a very challenging lighting, that's always useful. So, well, okay, in the chart, in cases like this with churches, it does not apply what I said before. Here is always good to be in the morning or in the afternoon, because at that time you can expect some light coming into the windows, and then you have nice effects like you have here. If I were here in the very morning or in the evening, there would probably be no ray lights coming into the charts. So okay, one thing is also I have to look for it. Give me a second to find another picture. At the moment. So I also took some nice pictures. I will show it to you later on okay, take this one, is better. From a chart. This is a very popular place in Montreal. So a lot of people go there. I mean, the church is great and the colors are great, but it's a very popular place for tourists. So there is only one way to get a nice picture with no tourists. It's being the first one getting into the church. So that's also bad news. If you wake up, I mean, you have to wake up early, and then you will not have 100 people walking around your picture. So that's also a kind of advice. So I wanted to show you also something, I mean, a kind of guideline from Wikimedia, from Wikimedia Commons. This is very important for, yeah, this is called, there are guidelines for image quality. And this is an important criteria for any jury and Wiki Loves Monuments. So, and so you can, I mean, you have a table here with some criterias. The first criteria is you have to try to upload the pictures with the maximum possible resolution. So don't downsize them. Actually, if the picture is smaller than 2 megapixels, then it will not be, it has no possibility to become awarded. So try to use also always the maximum resolution of your camera and upload also the pictures with that resolution. So important is also, I mean, you see here that we have detail here in this picture. This one looks pixelated. It doesn't look really good. I mean, that's clear. We need also pictures with as less noise as possible. Here you see a picture. This is very often. Maybe you have a good, you believe, okay, the item I was taking a picture from, it looks nice, the exposure is fine, but the background has got too much light. The sky is burned. That's also, I mean, you have to take care. Sometimes if it's not possible to take one picture of your subject and have everything, let's say, under control with a nice blue sky, then maybe you need to take 2 pictures and mix them. But in this case, the photographer went too far, and the exposure time was too long. So the sky is burned. It's too, I mean, it's kind of annoying because it's so bright that it does, yeah, the effect is not really good. So colors are important, focus is important, but that's clear. You have to, of course, when you take pictures with longer exposure time, I don't know, like 1/20th of a second, then you have to take care that you don't move your hand during the picture, then otherwise it will be blurry. The lighting, as I mentioned, is very important. Sometimes you can also use a flash, depends. Okay, what is not good, and this is something we have seen also very often in Wiki Loves Monuments, is pictures like this one. You see, I mean, you could believe it looks fancy and that's a nice effect. Maybe that's okay for your Facebook site, but this is something that will not become very popular for the jury. They look for realistic pictures of the monuments, not for something like this. It rather looks like not like a photograph. It looks like a picture painted by somebody. So you have to keep it easy with processing. Don't use any fancy effects. So the composition, of course, the composition is very important. Try not to have any disturbing elements. especially in the front of the picture. Sometimes it's worth waiting a minute so that there is nobody in front of the building, and the result is going to be much better. And then also for this kind of photography, it's also, I mean, for architecture photography, it's also important to take care of the falling lines. As you see in this picture, the chart is not straight. And this is something, when you take a picture of the chart, it will look like this. We ask here for a correction so that it looks like this. That's very easy. I can show you also, I have here one image. This I took a few weeks ago. When I took the picture, it looked like this. So applying, I mean, applying a corrective is called a vertical perspective correction, then it looks like this, which is kind of more realistic because you expect that buildings are straight. This is something you can easily correct here with this, with a program like Lightroom. There are other programs, but so that's not a big deal. But for photography, for architecture photography, that's important. So what else? Now I am moving to the last part. Irina asked me also what makes a Wiki Loves Monuments competition winner, and I said you need to practice. I mean, I don't know how long have you been taking pictures, but the more you do and the more things you try, the better will be the result. In Wiki and Wikimedia, we have also a page. No, not this one. Let me check. Okay, I call it here. We have a place called Quality Images Candidates. That's the place where you propose a picture to a quality image. Like I will show you. Here you can actually you can propose. I mean, this person, so Matti Blume, whom I know, proposed 5 pictures now to become a quality image, and then a different person, a reviewer, in this case, takes the role of the reviewer, will judge whether this picture is indeed a quality image, and then I mean it's very easy. You could do it like this, and I could promote it and say, okay, it's a good quality, and it gets green. So the green ones have got, I didn't save, so don't worry. The green ones have been approved as a quality image. The yellow one is a case where we have different opinions. Somebody said that's not a quality image, and another one said to me it's a quality image. So there is some kind of disagreement, and then there will be a further discussion about this picture. The red ones, they are not quality images. So somebody came to the conclusion, okay, this is not a quality image, so it should be declined. I discovered this place some years ago, and I believe I learned in a few weeks, or let's say months, there much more than what I did for years in some photography courses, because here what you do is you get very direct and prompt feedback. The feedback could be very direct, and sometimes it's, so you have to be open to feedback, but on Wikimedia Commons, if you are open to this feedback and you try to learn out of it, then the practice will be fed with a lot of feedback, and you really can become a much better photographer. So, so that was, okay, the last thing, I can show you some of, I have taken part in a lot of Wiki Loves Monuments contests, so in many countries, like in Norway, in Austria, in Portugal, in Spain, and I think I made it to the finalists in 16 of these countries. And also in some cases, even in the final, in the international stage, I got some kind of award. And we looked into these images yesterday, and I came to the conclusion what helped this image to become or to be a finalist or a winner was, of course, the quality of the image. That's something it has to be there, but mostly it's the lighting. You have special lighting and or the composition. So here, I mean, the composition is nice. I mean, the subject is very nice. The colors are great. And of course, if you look at it, and then you have detail. But yeah, it's mostly, I mean, here is again the composition. And here panorama really helps to project you into the picture. So so let's say yeah, I mean, and the lighting in this case, to me, it helps having a strong contrast between the black sky and the very bright lights here in the mosque. And here I believe it's okay, the lighting is not very special in this case, but the composition is nice, and you have also nice long panorama that takes you into the arena. So to me, here is the plus is the composition. Here again is the lighting, and here too. So the lighting, this is what I mentioned before. This is the blue hour. This is just after the sunset, and here during sunset. So, and here we have a very special light. It's called the golden hour. So and yeah, the light that this building getting this light makes it much more interesting than in the middle of the afternoon. So, and I think okay, I just right, I just need to mention, if you want to know which criteria does a jury follow to award an image, then believe me, because I was also part of the jury, it is both. It is I mean, they follow the criteria of Wikimedia Commons. So some of the pictures I show you, they are called featured pictures. They have been featured because they are a quality image, and they have so-called wow effect. And so this is the most important criteria for a good picture. I mean, if the picture should have a chance to become a finalist, then should be of high quality and have this wow effect. And of course, it should be very representative. I mean, if the picture is of, I don't know, for whatever reason, there is a place called, it's a monument, but there is no real monument that we can see there, then I don't believe that this is gonna come very far. I mean, that it's gonna make it to the final. So we need a very good illustration of a monument, and this meeting the criteria for featured pictures in Wikimedia Commons. So that's it from my side.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Thank you, Diego. Beautiful pictures and great work. I'm sure we will come back to them during the question session at the end of the webinar. I will add a few words coming back to what I started with from the perspective of a public institution dealing with cultural heritage, trying to point to what is, let's say, our hope for this competition, and where do we think we would like the attention to be placed from the participants. For us, it's very important, this discussion about what are you going to photograph and how. How do you choose your subject, and then what do you want to achieve by taking the photo? And as the competition is named Wiki Loves Monuments, it's clear that we want to look at monuments. So what are monuments? Simply speaking, and relating to the Wikipedia files that exist, like the one that you have shown us, Diego, we could say that monuments are protected buildings. So buildings that are put under the protection of the law because of their values, thanks to their values, which are attributed and acknowledged by society. So we talk about values. And thus, when we take photos, it's important to question what are the values that we can discover in the subject that we are photographing, so that we can best illustrate those values, like you have shown us, Diego, and we can come back to that. So because of this specific angle of looking for values, I think cultural heritage photography would be, in our view, somewhere between architecture photography, which is a very specialized and technical branch of photography. So between architecture photography and let's say promotional photography, that photography that is intended to hook people hook their attention to the subject. And why is it somewhere in between? Because it should have, along with the artistic qualities of the final image, it should have also a documentary content. It does have always whatever we want to achieve. In the end, the photograph does have a documentary value as well. But if we seek to maximize this documentary value, then the photograph can become even more valuable to the purpose of protecting buildings, because we have just started saying that monuments are protected buildings. So to better protect them, we need to emphasize their values. And that's why we rely very much on people who create images to be able to discover these values and to show them to other people. So that would be the documentary value that I would emphasize in the photographs that are running for this competition. And then by doing this, by bringing together the artistic angle and the documentary one, they can in the end lead to the power of fixing information, ideas, and feelings, transmitting them to the viewer. So what I would want to say is this, that this competition for us is very valuable because it brings us the power of so many different people that look at monuments and see different things. And they succeed in showing those different things, and thus they will open new understandings of monuments for us who are watching the images. So I would say for the competitors, be very confident in yourselves and allow yourselves to tell the story that you discover in each building. And thus, it will be very helpful. Now, coming back to the very practical angle of the list of historic monuments, Diego has shown us a bit of a list from Spain and the missing pieces in that list, the monuments with no photographs. Well, of course, if we look at our list in Romania, the Wikipedia list, we will see that we have probably much more gaps to fill in. So it would be fantastic if we would be able to convince everybody who joins in for this competition to make this initial check and see where they can contribute with their photographs to the documentation, visual documentation of the historic monuments in Romania. And you will see that there are differences in some parts of the country. In some counties, we have many buildings, maybe even most of them with photographs, while in other parts of the country, for instance, in the eastern part, in Moldova, in some counties, we don't have too many pictures in the list. So there's a lot of work to do. And you might say that we are a public institution, why don't we do it? Well, we would do it, of course, if we could. But in any country now, I think, public administrations are so much shrinked that they cannot take on the challenge of dealing with all these need for information unless they rely also on the information and documentation produced by people, by the community. So this is also in line with the let's say, latest definition of cultural heritage that we have, that is widely acknowledged already internationally. And this is provided by an international charter issued by the Council of Europe 15 years ago in 2005. It's called the Faro Charter. The charter dealing with the importance of cultural heritage for society. So it's a charter that from the title has a totally different angle from whatever we want to choose from the normative documents, international normative documents dealing with cultural heritage, because it's the first one to stress on the community, the society. And the definition it gives to cultural heritage also involves community. So it's a value that is recognized by the community and by the society. And thus, the responsibility is clearly shared too, not just the definition of cultural heritage that involves the community, it's also the responsibility for caring for this heritage, which is not only, let's say, something that deals with the owner or with the state, but also with the community and with the society at large. And this makes commons the most appropriate medium, the most appropriate tool, actually, for us together to be able to better care for our heritage. And I'm sure this applies to other countries as well, not just to Romania. For us, the National Institute of Heritage in Romania, we have been working for quite some time now trying to involve people in our efforts to discover heritage, understand heritage, and protect it. And we have worked with images and with photography in different ways before. We are the co-initiators of digital chroniclers, Cronicar Digital in Romanian program that is working in a special environment in Instagram. So it's a different way of working with photography, but our aim is the same, to encourage people to discover heritage, to observe, to notice, to capture, and then to share. We have done this in various ways, and we are also preparing a totally new list of historic monuments that will become an online database, and hopefully by next year we will have it online, and it will be a space also for private individuals, for the community, for groups of people to use for their own interests related to the documentation and working with cultural heritage. So Wiki Loves Monuments fits in all this effort very well, and we are very, very happy to be part of it. And we trust that this year it will somehow relaunch in Romania with a new enthusiasm, hopefully, because in the past years the participation has decreased, and also the amount of images that have passed the quality check has dropped in the past years. So now we are also here together in this webinar also to encourage everyone to follow all these guidelines, to follow the advice that we have received now, and that we can also find with other Wikipedians and photographers that contributed to Wikimedia Commons. I think for now, I think I would stop, and we can come back if you feel that it's anything that is unclear or should be emphasized during the discussion. So thank you all once again, and please let's open the floor for questions.
Yes, indeed, and I will try to do a bit of moderation. If there are questions, everybody right now is muted, I think, because of all background sounds that were reminding us how complex the world is. and how complex our life is every day. So who wants to ask a question has to ask to unmute. So I can give the floor to them. Until then, I actually have a question to Krishna. We haven't heard you for a long time. We need to hear you again. So I was wondering, what are, because you are involved in supporting local organizations in organizing this competition and in promoting it as best as possible. What, from your experience, helps to attract people to let's say stop maybe trends of disinterest or you know, descending trends of participating in this competition? Have you any magic wand?
So one trend that we observed why the disinterested, why participants get disinterested is, so in Wiki Loves Monuments, there is, from what we have observed from our surveys and the statistics is, there are users who are contributors to Wikimedia Commons, and there are users who are coming to the competition for the first time, and probably to Wikimedia Commons as well. So this group of participants who are already Wikipedians or Wikimedia Commons, they tend to lose interest after 2 to 3 years of competition, because they know Wikipedia, they know Wikimedia Commons, and they're like, I'll upload on Wikimedia Commons and I'll nominate it for the as Diego has shown, the quality image process or the featured image process, rather than uploading it during the competition. They upload. I'm not saying they won't upload, but they're comparatively less interested. And the other group, which is newly coming in, that is purely based upon communication of the competition, and also the ease of accessibility of the monuments.
The ease of access to the sites, to the
site.
photographing sites.
Photographing sites.
Yes, okay.
So if you can see the monument lists, so it's also a long time question, the monument lists which Diego has shown. If the monument already has an image, it shows the image. So otherwise it shows an upload button. We are thinking that, we have been thinking, like the research team at the Wikimedia Foundation has also done some research, but we are not able to get some ideas that whether showing an image is discouraging the participants to go there and click a new picture.
Well, why not just put a question, have a new, I don't know, angle, add a new angle to this? There was a discussion between having a new site that has never been covered, or having a photo from inside, or having a photo from a different perspective. Recently, I have seen also in the Wikipedia Loves Monuments competition, a surge of photos done by drone. The technology also helps us to access different viewpoints and to actually provide different angles on the same monument. That shouldn't stop people. In Romania, particularly, I think we do not have this problem. That or maybe that is a provocation, because in some cases the photos are really low quality and they don't make justice to the monument. Some really at all. So I would feel, when I saw that picture, I would feel inclined to look from my entire database of photo and actually find a better one, just to do justice to the monument.
Yeah.
But there are different perspectives, because there are different levels of the communities. And
yeah. So the perspective we observed at newcomers is, so is the message going that there can be different perspective of the monuments. For example, if the newcomer sees the image, the person might think, okay, there's an image, I need not do nothing more about this. And the monument, generally the trend is the monuments which don't have an image are the monuments which are not easily accessible.
Okay, so we're talking about physical access or legal
physical access.
Okay.
The monuments which have images are already well covered, and participants are not interested. Like, there is miscommunication which might have that might have been happening already is that no more images. I need not do anything for this. And when they see, okay, this monument doesn't have an image, and those monuments are generally in like faraway locations, which people tend not to go to. So different countries have tried different strategies to like mitigate this. One is having a special prize for monuments which haven't been covered till now. I think Diego has mentioned yesterday they have completely not eliminated, they like a hard rule that only new images will be accepted.
Yeah, that was the way it worked in Wiki Loves Monuments Spain. I think it was like for 3 or 4 years in a row. So because we had tons of pictures of the most popular monuments, but no picture of many other monuments. And we did this, and in parallel to this, we also initiated a project called No Municipality Without an Image. And there is now, we are not 100% there, but I think we miss about 100, 200 tiny villages without a picture. And at the beginning, it was about 2,500, which had none. So yeah, I think filling gaps is really important.
But the idea is that the users have a very easily to access database or list of these monuments so that they can actually know what they would be interested in and fast.
Yeah, but that applies to us also. Thanks to Wikipedia, we have the list translated to Wikipedia in the same format that we saw for Spain. So it's easy to work with it, and it's a good guide to find new monuments that are not so well known.
Yeah, we could launch a Find the Unknown Star campaign.
Okay, I don't want to make it very complicated, but what definitely makes sense is to create this kind of listings of monuments out of Wikidata, because then, I mean, I mean, actually, there is a possibility to automate them, to create these listings automatically out of the data we have on Wikidata.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Yeah. Also, like getting back to the question Arena has asked. There is a couple of things that we suggest countries to do when there is a decreasing trend of participation. Is to reduce, like for example, if you have $1,000 on the prizes, we suggest them to reduce the amount on the generic prizes, like top 5 images, and increase more on the category-wise prizes. So category-wise prizes will be a newcomer prize. So you segregate the set of images uploaded by newcomers who have participated for the first time. You can get those stats. We can help in getting those segregated lists of newcomers and judge the best photo of them and give a prize to them. So other thing is most number of uploads by a newcomer. Not any random uploads. Like again, this becomes a bit like all of these demand more jury work, but some countries have seen results. So most number of good uploads by a newcomer. A prize for in the monuments which have not been already covered.
Yes, we've had that in 2018. I remember in Romania, there was a prize for the best newcomer photography for a user who was first time on Wiki. And it was indeed a spectacular photo. So I think it also...
Try, for example, if there is a specific region in Romania which is not being well covered, you could give a prize to that for monuments from that specific region. So the strategy is you reduce generic prices, the 1 to 5, they will be there, but you can reduce the investment there and increase on more categories, like more categories of prizes that will attract more users from more areas. Newcomers. I think one country also tried for senior citizens to mobilize a community of senior citizens to get out of homes. And I don't know, that might not work in the pandemic now, but so like more categories wise prizes.
Yeah.
Okay, good point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is there any question from the participants, direct participants, as for now? Raise your hands. I can see you. Also, if you have them in during the speech, during somebody's answer, you could also write it in the chat if you feel better using the chat, especially neighbor's goat, who's only connected with writing, who doesn't have the camera on and the speech. So,
well, he left. He's not
he's
connected
no longer
anymore. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If no one else wants to start, I will come back to Diego and ask a few more questions about the pictures that he showed us. For instance, the church in Montreal, that image. How many pictures did you take to create that image, and how long did it take on site to create it and then back home editing?
Oh, okay, let me go.
Roughly.
Okay, I can. I could actually show you the original material. 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, I might have disk there. Okay, in the meanwhile, let me share my desktop.
Or another one. No, it just stuck into my mind, that image. But you can just explain us using another image that you have at hand.
Okay. Okay. Let me go to. So. Okay. So this. I mean. I showed you one image yesterday. I can share it again here. This is, of course, the so-called worst case. This image is about, this is a charge. So as said, with charges, I usually take always 3 pictures of each spot. And this is a full spherical panorama of the interior of the chart, so we can see it here. In this case, it took me over 1 hour to take all these pictures. They were, I guess, let me think, about 300 pictures. And
300.
So 300, and the result is only 1 picture. So, but okay, it's a picture that you can let's say navigate in.
Yeah.
Of course, and then I also, I mean, you need a powerful computer to process all these pictures, and then you also need to do some editing. For example, here you need to get rid of the. Actually, there was a tripod here, so I cloned it out. So let's say 1 hour, 1 hour and a half on site, and maybe in total 3-4 more hours on the computer.
Yeah. Also, in this case, I think it's interesting to notice that you have to understand very well the spatial disposition, the composition in space of this object, so that you make sure you take photos of all the angles and you don't end up with blind spots, with areas where you don't have.
Okay, that's easy. That's easy. I can tell you how I do it. If you're curious, there are devices for this.
Okay.
So I can. So I have a panorama head, and I think I have a link here. How it looks. Oh no. Let me show you. Yeah. So. Yeah, something like. Actually, yeah, well, let's take this one. I put my camera on this on this device, and then I decide, okay, how many degrees should I every time I move it, then it moves like 30 degrees or 15 or 60. So with this help, I mean, you make a ring of pictures at, let's say, horizontal, and then you incline the camera like 30 degrees to the top. Make one more ring, the same at the bottom, and then you take some more pictures at the very top and at the very bottom and put them together. But yeah, we use these kind of things to make sure that we don't forget an angle.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
okay. And can I ask you to, if you can, come back to the amphitheater of El Gem, the picture of that amphitheater, because I wanted to ask you to tell us a bit of how you use HDR in such a situation where a monument in a sunny location has very powerful contrasts of light and shade. And if you take just one picture, no matter how good it is, you will lose a lot of detail in the shade, right?
So yeah. Let me show you that was 2016. Let me show you. Oh wait.
This database shows what Diego meant by work, and practice.
Yeah. Yeah, sorted by year. So beginning with, I think, 2010, something like this. So and now we're looking for an image from 2016. So so now we are in 2015. Let me show. I will show you an example of 3 pictures of one frame.
Yeah,
so you can see the difference because it was indeed an
exactly. Yes,
it was an HDR. So it was. By the way, that year I was in Romania. So 2016. Yeah. So where are we? 55. 55.
Yeah.
Not yet. Not yet. This. I think this is the one. Okay, so beginning. I think this is the first one. Okay, needs 1 second to load. Okay, you see the difference? I mean, so it's like this. This is the normal. Let's say normal. Picture. This one is the one where I capture the highlights. So those places with too much light, for example, the clouds here. And here I take much longer exposure to capture the detail of those areas, especially here in the shadow. So out of these 3, then I create this one. And then I do it a couple of times, I think 4 times. Yeah, so I have 4 pictures like this and I put them together in one panorama. So, but yeah, you see the difference here and here. That's huge. Yeah.
But thus you can actually cover all the details, and in the end you have the monument very well documented. Everything is,
yeah, you have to be careful that at the end the monument still looks realistic. Because if sometimes that's an issue. Sometimes you want to show the detail, but on the other side then I mean, it doesn't look realistic. If you pop up the light of the shadows too much, then it doesn't look good. Okay, I'm not sure which one is the right picture with the whole image. I think this one. Not this one. Oh no, that's the other one. Okay, I don't know where. I don't find it now. So okay, so I don't find the picture now.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah.
Ah, here it is. Yeah, where are we? I think this is the one.
How much time did you spend on the spot?
Actually, I went to Tunisia we had a workshop with Tunisians about image quality. So I gave them some hints about, yeah, I mean, this was us. That was they were the participants in the workshop. Yeah. And so I spent 2 days there, and one afternoon we went, after some theory, in the afternoon we went to El Gem. Yeah. Took some pictures, and then I could process them a little bit in the night and show them some, give them some hints about how to process them.
Okay, I see. But that too is important, to allow yourself enough time to get in touch with the monument, explore, move around, understand it, and then you shoot, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not shoot and go.
I always shoot, but after I shoot, I realize later on, oh, from this angle it looks much better. So I try to optimize the time. So you never know which one is the best angle. So I shoot. It doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. That's a problem I have. For example, here, I did some diving the other day with sharks, and I took over 1,000 pictures, and that's a lot of work, because then. I mean, you have to sort them out. That's the problem. I mean, if you don't choose, or if you don't select the pictures when you take them, you have to do it underwards, and it's extremely time consuming.
Yeah.
So you see here, I don't know if you see here, there are 1,022 pictures of this dive with sharks. So I don't know. It's gonna take time. I don't know if I can show you one nice. At least one nice.
So you also do underwater photography?
Yes. That is a lot of fun. I don't find it. Yeah, I said I didn't sort them out yet. This is maybe one.
Yeah. Where was this?
That was in the Azores, in Portugal, in the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Wow.
I have better ones, but I don't find them. Oh, this one is nice. Look at this.
This brings us back to the discussion on nature and culture. How do we define historic monuments? Only as cultural goods, or do they have nature inside, or the other way around? There was a discussion about this, someone saying that there is no more nature without culture, because we project upon even the most pristine nature, we project our own understanding of the world and our own criteria of appreciation. So we make it cultural, even if it's purely natural. It's about that also in the picture we see. But of course, we are talking of much more conventional monuments when we talk of Wiki Loves Monuments.
Particularly this shark is very culturally, let's say, imbued with the meaning, especially in the area of protecting heritage. Like sharks are the people who do not respect and who try to avoid the law and to transpass the law to actually demolish a monument and then build something.
Yeah, we call them development sharks. Yeah,
we have a thumbs up from one of the users for this comment, but let's hope we're here to unite in making as many endangered monuments visible through photography, through quality photography that can, as you can see, go in international charts, in front of the eyes of international juries, and why not in front of a larger community that can actually support projects of revitalization or restoration. And there have been cases like that, from one good picture to a good community project. That's also what we're hoping for at the Institute. It's not mainly fishing for photos that are beautiful. It's also looking a bit at monuments for what they are, and they are different in each country for sure, and putting them in their best light and future light.
Yeah. That
eyes.
that was beautiful.
Yeah,
too.
Very good eyes.
Yeah, continuing from where Irina stopped. Why are we interested in this competition and in general in working with community? Is also not just about trying to learn more together, but it's also a change of view of cultural heritage, because traditionally cultural heritage was defined and protected by professionals. So it was a restricted area for professionals. Only professionals were those who were saying which is worth of being protected and what is not worth of being protected. And only professionals said how we should go on to protect them, what is allowed, what is not allowed, and so on. This is a traditional way of dealing that has emerged in Europe 2 centuries ago and has developed. But nowadays, there's an important change of attitude towards cultural heritage, and professionals are seen more as mediators and facilitators for the community. So it's important for us here in Romania as well to not just give a voice to community, but actually hands-on to community all this approach to cultural heritage. So it's important for us to see as many people discover new things that they think should be protected and are not protected today. So we are not only looking at what is already defined by professionals and put in a list, but we are looking at heritage also with this view of rediscovering it together and redeciding all the time, redeciding what is cultural heritage today in Romania and all over the world. So everything that I said is possible thanks to Commons as well, and to these all these tools that allow us to work together. So I will just say that we encourage everyone to be an explorer and to come up with new angles of looking at what we've got in terms of cultural heritage in Romania.
I wanted to add that when I participated in Wiki Loves Monuments in Spain, and we had to fill these gaps. I mean, look for villages with no picture.
Yeah,
it was so surprising for me too. I mean, I created an itinerary. Okay, these are the places I want to visit because we have no pictures of them, and some of them were really close to the place where I used to live. Yeah. And I had never been there. And it was really, as you say, an exploration. So I discovered a lot of nice places, nice people, nice motifs to take pictures from, and they were so close to the place I used to live. So that was a discovery. So and that was a lot of fun. So not only for, I mean, the thing like, okay, you see a purpose of what you do. I mean, filling these gaps and providing a documentation of something where there is nothing. But on the other side, you discover the area where you live, for example, much better doing so. So you are forced to get to places you have never been before, and that's an adventure. That was fun.
Yeah. Okay.
We're starting to get questions on the chat, and the first one and a very important one is, how exactly can we participate in this competition? I will leave in the chat and also for the entire audience say that the website of Wiki Loves Monuments.ro, Wiki Loves Monuments.ro, just as such, has on its first page the link towards how to register, how to find the monuments. There's a list of counties with each of them having the list of monuments that can be covered at this moment. So the information is out there. It can also be photos that are older, as far as I know, and Krishna can anytime mute me or say how it is if I'm wrong. But no, you can upload also. Anna Rubeli asked if a photograph can be older than the time frame of the contest. Of course, it can, and it's welcome.
And also the last question is very interesting, and,
yeah. And I will let you.
I agree to what Daria says. Speaking about nature, what about human nature? Is anthropological photography included? For instance, the photography of a monastery, if there is a nun around. Yeah, I also agree that the life of the monastery is just as important as the buildings, if not more. But it depends where you are looking from which angle, of course. For many people, the buildings are not so important. For us, those who are dealing with historic monuments, buildings are important, but not just buildings. We always take into consideration the use that people give to buildings, the reason why the buildings look like they look, and that is also in the spirituality, in the traditions, in the beliefs and everything. So whether we acknowledge it or not, we are speaking of the human nature as well. And I think that can contribute to the success of a picture, depending on what you wish to achieve, of course.
I wanted to add something. I talked about composition earlier, and of course, and none it belongs to monastery or to hermitage. So that is very welcome to put her. Or I mean, of course, it's better if it's by chance, and sometimes or usually it's better if the person doesn't even know that it's being photographed. Given that you have the permission to do so, or you should ask later on, but it definitely belongs to the monastery. It gives something additional to the picture. So I think that when I talk about disturbing elements earlier, it was rather so like tourists, or I mean, people that, let's say, don't add something to the picture.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
Well, I just want to add one point regarding uploading is that you can also upload pictures outside Romania if you have. This is a misconception which participants generally have is, okay, we are in Romania, so we upload only pictures of Romania. As Diego has shown that he has won in other contests. So if you have traveled to some country and have pictures of those countries, like monuments from those countries, you can upload and you will be eligible as any other participants for a prize in those countries as well. So this is the link for all the countries that are participating in 2020. Countries might sign up in the coming week more towards the end. So you can keep a watch. And so if, for example, if you have a picture from Germany, you go to Germany and in the last column, you have the upload file for that respective country. Mm-hmm. So you'll like the same procedure for Romania. You check the monument's ID and you go to the respective upload wizard and upload.
So look up in your hard disks what you have from your last year's vacation, wherever you have been. You can now use all those pictures and give them a purpose.
Yeah.
I have one more question, if I can. In fact, two. First, if there is a limit. Can we participate? No, we can upload as many photos as we can, as we want. Okay, and then one question for Diego, if I may. First, congrats about for your photographies, lovely, absolutely. But what equipment do you use?
Okay, thank you, Daria. I show you what I use. I use Canon. So let me show you. I have So let me try. Okay, I have here my user page on Wikimedia Commons, and I have all my equipment is described here. And actually, this is a picture of my camera. So it's a Canon 5DS. Where is it? Canon EOS 5DS-R. Looks like this. So, and then of course I have some lenses, different lenses for different purposes. This is for macro or extreme macro, let's say. I also take pictures of very tiny animals, and then also some tele lens or teleobjective. Like, I can use an extender for very. I have a 300 millimeters here, and I use here this one I have two, and I use also an extender to take pictures of things that are far away. I can give you an example. When do I need it? You will like it. For this you need tele. So 600. Yeah, you don't want to get so close to that. And on the other side, I use, for example, I don't know, my magnification lens for, I said, very tiny. Let me show you something. So this, for example, this is a ladybug. They are also, they used to be nice, but if you use a macro, you see how it actually looks, then maybe you change your mind. I don't know. But this is
soft. Look into my eyes.
Yeah, so
look into my 1,000 eyes.
Yeah, okay, or here an ant. Oh, wait, I can go directly. So, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, equipment, you can spend so much money there. This is crazy. So I have a lot of different lenses. I also, as you saw earlier, I have some also tripods, and this panoramic head for the spherical panoramas. You need a good computer, you need a laptop, you need some software. I know this is not free, this is not open source, but this is the best tool for processing pictures we have, Adobe Photoshop Lightroom, which is, let's say, a light version of Photoshop. You cannot do so much editing, but you can process a lot of images in very short time. And then I have my equipment for underwater. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, anyone else?
There are no more questions.
After we looked into the eyes of those bugs.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether to come back to the discussion of people in the photo. This is a photo made in Romania, which won the first prize in 2012. Oh, sorry, I switched it to something else, right? Yeah, you don't want to see this. Stop sharing now. So it was the photo of Monastery Kajna in winter, and there was also one explorer there. And I think even if the character, I'll look for it again, even if the character does not belong to the life of the monument, because it was a sort of a ruined monastery right at the outskirts of the capital city, actually. It is a person checking up for a monument, exploring an abandoned place, actually, at that time, when nobody was actually going there. And it also brought it back into the local community's attention. A monument so close to where a lot of people in Romania live, in the capital city, was lying there deserted in winter. So I think it doesn't really have to be somebody, a person that belongs to the life or the circuit of the monument. I cannot find the photo anymore. Of course, that's how it works. But if it's part of the story, probably
I would add that in that particular case, I would add that the presence of the person is very important also to understand the scale of the building, because since it is ruined and it doesn't have any element that you can refer to understand how large it is, or for people outside of Romania who are not familiar with the church architecture that we have, it would be not as easy to understand if you wouldn't have the person there to give you the scale of the building, and that's also very important. Okay. Well,
found it. we can rest on looking at the scale, and indeed it is a matter of scale, because this is in plain fields. You cannot see much.
You don't understand the size of it. Yeah.
Yes,
otherwise.
Indeed. Okay, encouraging. 2012 has been a good year for Wikimedia Loves Monuments Romania. We even gave the first prize then. Let's see what happens this year. Competition officially starts the 1st of September, but you can still start digging for the photos that you took.
We have another question, Irina.
Oh, there is another question.
Yeah. Is it possible to take valuable photos for the contest with a mobile camera?
Oh,
I think Diego, this one's for you as well. We have another question. Is it possible to take a valuable photos for the contest with a mobile camera? With a mobile phone?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, of course, you can't expect the same quality like with expensive equipment, but I mean, everybody has a cell phone in the hand, so actually there are a lot of strange things that, or let's say, if you are not prepared for a picture, you will always have your cell phone with you. So definitely you will take a lot of useful pictures with your camera, with your cell phone. I mean, so there is no restriction about this. And what I mentioned earlier about 2 megapixel, each camera today in a cell phone provides more resolution than 2 megapixels, so that's not a problem.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think we got to the end of it. We discussed about all the questions that we got. What can I say? Good luck to everyone. Thank you, Diego. Thank you, Krishna, for being with us today. And let's hope for a very successful edition of Wiki Loves Monuments Romania.
Okay, thank you.
And worldwide.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.